Hey everyone, I'm Brendan McKay, and thank you for joining us today. I'm the broker owner of McKay Mortgage Company, an extremely proud member of AIME, and we have a special roundtable for you guys today. We're going to be talking about leveraging different technology as we're all, there's still refinances out there, but the writing's on the wall, and we're kind of moving into a purchase environment and different ways to leverage some of the technology from some of our partners. Today we've got three awesome panelists with us. Christian Stevenson is the Senior Vice President of Sales and Enterprise Partnerships at leadPops. And yeah, Christian, thanks for joining us, man.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to be here. It's a great topic, well needed. Can't wait.
All right, hell yeah, man. And we also have Jay. I've spoken to Jay many times, and I'm going to botch his last name, Jay Radoshia.
You got it, man. You got it.
Awesome. He's accounts and partnership group at Homebot, big AIME sponsor. And yeah, thanks, Jay.
Thank you, Brendan. I'm really excited to be here, work with a ton of brokers and the AIME team, and just excited to help y'all through this crazy market right now.
Oh yeah, the man is joining us from the road. There's nothing that will stop him from giving information to the broker community. And last but not least, who wanted to make sure I introduce him very personally, Daniel Cross is the Director of Business Development at Verse. And yeah, Daniel, thanks, man.
Hey, brokers, hoping I can add something of value today. Glad to be here.
Cool. Well, yeah, we have three experts, and as I kind of mentioned earlier, the market is shifting. Rates went up a couple weeks ago, and they have come back down. There's still some refinance out there, but the world is opening back up, and it's pretty clear that we need to start focusing on purchases. The smart ones of us were always focusing on purchases, but we're not all that smart. So it's kind of time to start shifting into that, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. And how we can utilize some of this technology and ensure our clients have as smooth a process as possible. So first, I want to throw a question out to all three of you guys. I mean, in theory, there's only a limited amount of purchase leads out there. And the quality of those leads is going to vary, from one to the other. How should brokers really be positioning themselves to get in front of the most qualified leads? Daniel, if you can kick us off with that.
Yeah, I would say so from a communications standpoint, because that's kind of where Verse is coming from in this, and the way that we're adding value is the ability to facilitate more conversations. Is if you're going out and generating leads, just making sure, and this is whether you use Verse or not, making sure that you're quick to the lead. We put out a study a couple months ago that said, a bunch of teams were audited, a bunch of businesses were audited, and over half the companies weren't getting to leads within 30 minutes. And when you're competing for buyers' eyeballs, and do you guys know my credit guy?
Sam Parker, yeah.
Sam Parker said in one of these webinars, like, you've won the tournament of like the internet, right? Like, you've gotten people to click on your link and you've gotten them to fill out your stuff. And the fact that you would go and just like you've beat everybody else out there, and then it takes you 30 minutes to get to a lead is crazy. So we're always pushing speed to lead. Make sure you get that conversation. It's not just speed to lead; it's speed to conversation. So automation's awesome, because automation allows you to, it works when you don't, but you're also wanting to get as fast as possible to a quick conversation so that you're adding value. Mainly, you want them to stop clicking, right? You want them to think that they're working with someone, think they already have something in the books and planned. And so the biggest advantage you can have as we're moving towards a more competitive lead season is to make sure that you're there first, or be there early, be there often.
Cool. You mentioned 30 minutes. I'm curious, like, the sooner the better, or is there any more data on like the first 5 minutes? Obviously, like the second they click it, the phone would be ringing, would be ideal, but like, is there anything tighter than 30 that you think is relevant?
Oh, well, 30 is terrible. My example is like 30 is like unacceptable. If you imagine, and I said this yesterday on a podcast too. If you imagine, like, go to Google right now and type in like Uggs, like just Ugg boots, and then go to Instagram like 5 minutes later and see what happens. Like, if you're typing in like new purchase loan or how much can I borrow, and you're filling out a form, like, your customers are in that position, right? They're filling out a form, they fill out a form with you, and now they're going back to Instagram And now they're getting targeted for everything so they're going to see ads for mortgages. They're going to see ads. So all your competitors are right there. So if you're not reaching out to them right after they fill out the form, then you're at a huge disadvantage. So the old MIT study was you're 21 times more likely to convert a lead if you reach out within 5 minutes versus 30 minutes. Yeah, 30 minutes is unacceptable now. You have to have something going out right away. And the more personal that is, the better.
Cool. And yeah, Jay, like same topic. What should we be doing to get in front of the best leads possible?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because Homebot sort of exists outside of the lead funnel. When you think about digital lead capture, lead generation, and follow up, Daniel and Christian and the companies that they represent are the best tools for a broker to get online and compete, with the big real estate portals, lending companies, lead buy, lead acquisition, lead aggregation technology. So assume you've won the tournament if you're working with those two guys, and I'll leave the conversion to them. But when you think about Homebot and you think about leads being commoditized, I think there is a finite number of leads available online. And, if you think about the number of purchase transactions year over year, it really doesn't shift that much. 5 to 6 million homes sold in the US. And then you look at how many leads are created each year, and it goes up by 100 million, right? In terms of leads created online and sold back to real estate agents, sold back to brokers and lenders. So work with these two companies, leadPops and Verse, to make sure that you're aggregating as much lead traffic as you can and converting as much lead traffic as you can. And then, you can use Homebot and you can use just good follow-up and good engagement with your sphere of influence to really pull through people that are going to be the lowest hanging fruit for you to do business with again, and to, refer out to your network and build value for them over the lifetime of that customer, and just keep them close to you and keep monetizing that person over and over again in terms of referrals, in terms of repeat business, in terms of, bringing them into your other spheres of partners. So think about working with those two online, and think about, going back to your sphere of influence and the people who know you and you've served well, and you don't have to necessarily pay for those people. You don't necessarily have to be Johnny on the spot, right? You just have to get in front of them, and you have to make sure they know who you are and find ways to help them over the course of their life cycle as a customer.
Cool. Hell yeah. And yeah, Christian, tell us what leadPops is doing on the topic.
Absolutely. The first step for us, we just stress, is the importance above all else really is in creating a solid foundation that highlights your online credibility. Just mentioned, there's only a certain amount of purchase leads available to go around. So put yourself in the consumer's shoes. That's the way we always have our optics really looking at this whole situation. Who would you want to work with as you conduct a search for your loan? Most likely someone that has great branding. They're found easily online. They have a ton of reviews, an impressive resume. We use that mindset, and what we feel is needed is both brand awareness and a healthy balance of being both informative and implementing calls to action to drive the lead right to you. Jay mentioned a bit earlier, we focus here on lead capture, lead generation, and conversion. And that can be accomplished in many ways, really, to first increase your visibility. Ad campaigns, local SEO, great solutions that work to advance your visibility, both in your hyper-local market and in any particular market and target areas you're looking to break into. And we feel just as important as working to establish yourself to get found, first and foremost, is where you're driving them to and how you set up your follow-up cadence. As Daniel mentioned, 30 minutes, awful. We won't even green light anyone to start doing campaigns if they say, I don't have the right pieces in place to follow up for 30 minutes, an hour, or 2 hours. It's unacceptable. Now, there's little to gain in our eyes from attracting the attention of a lead, only to not highlight your USP, which shows them in the first place why they would even want to work with you over another broker. For leadPops, that next step is our funnels, our Conversion Pro websites. They work to build trust, level of intent from the prospect, while still promoting the broker's experience in the space. Past client success stories, any specific programs they want to promote. Verse and Homebot, they're integral pieces really to this, with the crucial importance of dedicated communication, follow-up, and especially highlighting specifics around where the prospect may be searching, just to highlight and show the consumer that, hey, you are the expert to move forward with.
Cool. So you're really like teeing it up where, yeah, the person found you online and stuff like that, and it's not like your next door neighbor or their family member, but like by the time they get to you, they should know as much about you that they feel like they do know you in one sense or another. And And like every originator wants as many referrals as possible, and this is getting it as close to that as you can.
Exactly.
Cool.
Spot on.
Cool. Hell yeah. So we're coming out of the refinance boom, or we're at the tail end of it. Best case scenario. Let's say here, we didn't have to work that hard for business. I worked really hard for business, but I know the intent of the question. Like, there was just business everywhere. There was business coming out of our ears. All my focus was staying in front of it as best as possible. And now we're, shifting into an environment where the purchase market is just simply going to be more competitive for a million different reasons. And it might not always be about rate or price or this or that. What adjustments do you guys think brokers that might have had a more of a refinance mindset should be making, whether it's mentally or technology or whatever, to win over these purchase leads and clients that they're getting in front of? Christian, go ahead and kick us off.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, really, Brandon. Brokers are a better community. They thrive on competition. So yes, there was some layups that happened this past year, but now's the time really to go. So in risk of sounding like a broken record, credibility, persistence in our eyes is key, right? Most brokers are going to promote that they have the best rates available, best programs out. So what are you going to do that really works to separate you from the pack, right? Most consumers, just like you do when you search a business or someone you plan on to work with or a product you're thinking about moving forward with, they're going to search you, see if you've ever worked with someone in their situation before to validate your credibility, validate your experience. So yes, you can feel confident maybe you've been in the space or the market for 5, 10, 15 years, but with so many consumers nowadays conducting a proactive validation on a broker prior to selecting one to work with, you really have to focus on building out your branding that not only gains you that increased visibility as discussed in the previous question, but when prospects search online for loans in your area, when they come across you, do you have that unique value proposition that really you want to reflect to them? That's just really important in our eyes and in this space more than anything.
Cool. Thanks. And Jay?
Yeah, I would say, the two things you can do to pivot a little bit, it's still competitive and brokers are going to compete on rate and beat pricing, 9 times out of 10. But I think the two things you can really do to set yourself up for success now is, again, being first to know, right? Kind of going back to what Daniel said, being first to know when people in your database or leads, prospects, past customers, right, have a need that you can jump in and fill right away. And then number 2 is enriching your partnerships, right? And really diving back into that idea of passing referrals and giving to get, right? And understanding that if you can help a consumer in this moment, maybe with something that's not going to pay you right now, by making that referral out and making sure they're really well taken care of, you've secured that business in the future, right? You've secured that lead because people don't stop being consumers. I steal this from Jason Frazier all the time. You own a home, you help them get that awesome loan. You help them get into their perfect scenario. They don't stop consuming information online. They don't stop talking to their neighbors. They don't stop, thinking about, should I sell my home right now? The market's hot. So just making sure you're first to know when they're sort of thinking that, when they're searching that, when they're having those conversations, and then jumping in to save the day. And if you can't do it, making sure you've got a partner that can make sure that consumer is taken care of, and knowing that if you do the right thing and you add value for that consumer and the partner right now, that's going to come back to you in the future.
No, and I can relate to that entirely. It's really the backbone of the business model at McKay Mortgage has always been, let's just get as many customers as humanly possible. When rates started dropping 2 years ago, I was like, let's just get clients in our database, because we're a young company and we're not going anywhere anytime soon. And those people are going to buy and sell homes for a while. And it's one of the reasons we recently became customers of Homebot, just to keep staying in front of people and staying top of mind. So yeah, I agree completely. And yeah, Daniel, what do you have any ideas for brokers to be behaving differently in this purchase market?
Well, yeah, obviously realtor relationships come back into it, right? So you're gonna have to embrace and engage and make sure that those relationships are strong. But I also recommend an A/B test where you cold call a bunch of agents and offer to take them to coffee as option A, and as option B, you generate a lead online, get a lead pre-qualified who doesn't have an agent and is looking for an agent, and call them and tell them you have a referral for them, and see which of those two methods works better. First of all, with option B, you're building your own pipeline. So if they're going to buy in the future, or that you're winning for yourself, but you're also able to be a little bit more strategic and a little bit more open about where you're generating leads. So you can generate leads all over the state. There are you can have realtor partners all over the place, and by changing up your ads, and Christian can probably speak to this maybe at some point later, but by changing up your strategy and where you're targeting people, you can look for areas that you don't have partners in already. Like you can be expanding that partnership opportunity. And the idea that this isn't something that everybody's doing, it shouldn't be the only thing you do, but to ignore such a channel and such a strong relationship builder seems silly. You should be generating leads and passing them to new referral partners. You should always be looking for more of those relationships.
Yep. No, that also rang true to me. I can get stuck in the muck with my regular partners. So yeah, hell yeah, man. So we're moving into a purchase market, but it's not like, I don't know, every purchase market is unique, but this one is especially unique, right? Because like, there's plenty of buyers, but there's not enough sellers out there. And brokers are writing pre-approval letters for the same buyers week after week after week. And in this unique environment, I don't know if you have a solution to that in particular, but given the uniqueness of this environment and how unbelievably competitive things are, do you guys have any suggestions for how brokers can really set themselves up, both themselves or their clients, different from the rest? And yeah, Daniel, kick us off on this one.
Oh man, this is coming from as a consumer right now. We're in escrow on our house, and we're looking for another one, and using a broker. Don't hit me up after this. I've got a broker already. Like, this is kind of an obvious one, and it's not really adding a lot of value because you do this already. But like, just stick with them. Just you're gonna keep losing, and they're gonna keep our house is in escrow, and then we were kind of concerned that it was gonna fall out of escrow, and we were like, okay, what's it look like if we borrow money, and can we refi, and maybe what's it gonna look like at over 800, and we have all these questions, and gosh, like that's where you guys shine. That's where brokers can give that personal touch. That's where they're responding at 7 p.m. on a Sunday, and just keep doing that, because that's the biggest advantage that you guys have in the market, and it's appreciated, and it leads to referrals. And as much as you have to keep wasting time with, we just lost yesterday on an offer where they came in 100K over, and free rent back for 2 months. But the broker's like just responding to me as he always has, and he's getting us ready for the next one. So just keep doing that, guys.
Cool. Jay, what about you?
Yeah, I think the one thing I'll offer up is listings, right? And Brandon, you could speak to this, right? You rolled out Homebot not that long ago, and there's people who are going to reach out about, inventory solving solutions for your partners, right? People who have been in homes, who have an outsized opportunity right now and might not know it, right? Daniel, you know it. That's why you're transacting right now. Brendan, you know it. That's why you're selling your house right now. But I would say the vast majority of people in your database do not know it. So getting something in front of them like Homebot, or just an email or a video or a consultation with one of your realtor partners to help them understand what the value of their home is, what the opportunity looks like in their market to sell, and what that opportunity could look like 3 years from now if they wait, right? If they can sell and they can buy, right now is a really smart time to do it. And then on the tail end of that, when they become a buyer again, like Daniel said, just earn their trust, offer them solutions, and stay persistent. And don't be transparent about how competitive it is right now, and tell them it's going to be difficult, but that you're going to be with them, that you're going to continually solve their problems. And yeah, I think that's really it. It is focus on creating inventory for your partnerships, because however hard it is for you right now, with these buyers getting beat out on offers, it's that much harder for your agents. And if you can create back pocket inventory for your partners, you are going to save the day. So, I would say brokers, take Daniel's advice, do that A/B test, but I'm going to stack on that B where you're offering them a pre-qualified lead. Talk to them about a free Homebot trial too if you're a customer, right? We offer that out to you guys, and I have to say I'm a little frustrated. Where last year there haven't been a lot of a lot of pickup on the agent side, working with brokers. So my challenge to you is get these Homebot accounts out to your co-branded, co-sponsored Homebot accounts out to your agents' database, right? That's going to position you for success. It's going to help solve their inventory problems, and it's not going to cost you anything on the front end. So that's my piece of advice here.
And that's actually, you and I are going to have a conversation next week about that. I rolled out Homebot not that long ago, and an agent who, one of her, the buyers that she worked with us, sent her the Homebot and was like, "What's this?" And the agent was like, "This is so cool," and wants to partner on it. And then on top of that, I was still like figuring out exactly how it works. And another agent I work with, similar thing happened, and they were like, "We can sell our house for what?" Okay, like, let's sell our house. It's the same reason, if any of you guys are living in neighborhoods, that every agent, every time they sell a house, everyone in that neighborhood knows what they sold it for, because the way psychology works, people's like, "Oh wow, I could get that much for my house. Maybe it is a good time to move," and stuff like that. So yeah, it is for sure happening. And yeah, Christian, do you have any thoughts or ideas?
You guys tackled it all, really. I would just say, hey, obviously, limited inventory, limited opportunities. This is the time, make a concentrated effort in establishing your brand, create more visibility in your landscape, work to sort of future-proof yourself. We just feel that obviously now strategies and approach methods in the past that may have led to conversions may not get the job done just with the level of competition right now. So be proactive. It's critical in this environment. Mystery shop your area. See who's leading the pack with their services and reputation online. If you're not there, let's work together and figure out how we can really get you there. And that should definitely be a big focus in this time frame.
Cool. And the two things I'll throw out there too, it's not exactly technology based, but that I'm writing pre-approval letters individually for every single offer that goes in. It just looks a million times cleaner. The listing agent, when they're looking at it, and then I proactively make phone calls on every single offer that's going out to the listing agent too. Not only they appreciate it, it shows you're sharp and on the ball, but also like, the listing agent calls you and they list some address that you don't know the address, and you're fumbling and this and that, and you can kind of take control of the conversation. So I definitely recommend the proactive approach to it. So going in and getting ready for purchase season, what are the proper timelines for running purchase ad campaigns and client communication? And yeah, Christian, definitely kick us off on this one.
Absolutely. That's one of our key services over here at leadPops. And really, I'll address the latter question first. For any online campaign, a minimum of 90 days really should be the baseline you keep in mind. To say it will take you that long to convert a lead to a funded loan, not the case at all. Oftentimes you will well before that. But running an ad campaign, calling it a failure after a couple of weeks or a couple of months, just a poor way of thinking. The reason we say that is this. If you plan to approach paid advertisement with what we call the set it and forget it model, it's going to be tough to find success. You need to ensure you're allowing the time and dedicating the effort really into learning how the ad's performing to best optimize. After just 2 weeks or a month, you have such a small data set that it's not really wise to make a successful or unsuccessful decision on the campaign, right? So for our clients, leadPops, we really work to measure the level of engagement first and the type of leads coming through. And then from there, adapt and shift our targeting metrics based on that. Like Daniel said, maybe that even means I want to go into another market. Maybe that shows better opportunities there. So look at paid advertisement as a game of chess, right? You need to be nimble, adapt to what's coming through. Many of our clients leverage both Jay and Daniel, Homebot and Verse, in conjunction with the ad campaigns we run for them. And really because if you're not painting that full picture of the area the prospect's looking into, the proper follow-up, you're really creating a very solid barrier for yourself and doing a disservice really for yourself. So I would say, at the end of the day, yes, we can generate a high amount of leads for you per month, but if that puts a negative effect on your service levels, your customer service that you're known for, or if you're reaching back out to the consumer, as we talked about earlier, after 30 minutes or an hour, the odds that you even get them on the phone, minuscule, right? So that's number one. I also say, keep in mind, not all leads generated may come directly from your campaign, meaning that because your ad campaigns, if ran correctly, effectively are not just direct-to-consumer play, but a brand awareness play, right? You might have some leads that instead of clicking directly on your ad, go to Google, look at your reviews, potentially land on your website. So there's a lot of different factors that can lead to someone calling a campaign successful or unsuccessful. Just make sure to set yourself up working with the experts really for the best results.
Cool. So like that last part, like it's like the billboard effect. People don't get billboards because they think people are going to pull over and stare up and take the phone number down, right? Like you just want your face out there as much as possible. Cool.
That's it.
And yeah, Daniel, when do you think you should start getting into a routine of communication with a new client or lead?
Yeah, I was also going to say, ask Evan Wade and Scott Shang about traffic to their websites and putting in time in the beginning and reaping the rewards later. But anyway, yeah. So the tip I was going to give here is, okay, let's say you've decided you're going to generate leads. You've decided you're going to put some automation in place, whether that's first or not, and you've got appointment setting as part of what you're doing, because you're saying, okay, let's say they've gone through a leadPops funnel, they've answered all the questions, and then they've submitted their information to you, and you have either automation or reverse or some combination of both trying to book appointments for you. One of the biggest mistakes that I've seen in all of our verticals, not just mortgage and real estate and kind of everywhere, is like the entitlement of an appointment. So even though you're getting an appointment, even though it's there, it's on your calendar, first of all, like, consumers don't always treat calendars the way we treat our calendars. We have calendars where we take meetings all day, but they might not. Like, maybe they're a teacher and they don't treat it like that. So assuming you do, first of all, you're reaching out right away, you're offering a conversation, they're saying, yeah, let's get into an appointment, we'll schedule it for later today or for tomorrow. Like, never sit on that. That means it means that they've agreed to talk with you, and maybe that they'll stop clicking, but you should have a setup where, as a new lead comes in, you're explaining exactly what that meeting is going to be about and why they should show up to it. So you're telling them, you're setting the table for what's going to happen at the meeting, how much value you're going to add. You're going to tell them about the rates. You're going to tell them about what they can qualify for. And we're going to cover all that on this call. And the more personalized that can be, either through a bomb video, through a Loom video, through anything that's personalized, even if it's just a text message, but it's like a real text message, like not from your CRM and just kind of the same every time. Just like, hey, I looked at your file. Hey, I saw you're looking in this area. That's a great area. I'm really looking forward to chatting this afternoon at 3. I'm going to need a couple things, or I'm looking forward to telling you about these 3 things, or whatever it is. Just making sure that even if you do have automation set up, that the automation is supposed to be able to leverage you to be a human with your client, so that you're not like responding dumbly to like the same conversation 100 times a day, that you're able to really take a moment and go, oh, okay, I have all their information. I'm going to respond to this smartly and personally. And then that ensures that they're going to show up. You're just going to increase the number of people you actually get to talk to.
Cool. So we still have to do our job even with all this technology, is what you're saying?
Unfortunately, at some point, you are going to have to do your job, and we're working on it.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, don't work too hard, because I don't like the end of that story. And yeah, Jay, so your thoughts on the topic, or when it's the right time to expose the client to, financial digests and all that kind of stuff that you guys do?
Yeah, I think the point I made earlier that Jason Frazier just so eloquently states is, people are always consuming information. People are always talking about real estate and searching and thinking about it. So the right timing to give someone a financial digest, if they're a homeowner, it's whenever, right? And the earlier, the better. I think there's a common theme between what Daniel and Christian and you are all talking about here, which is, taking a little more time and dedicating a little more attention to that human element, that follow-up, right? Whereas before it was kind of a flood, and you're just trying to work through the flood and turn as many apps over as you can, make sure you get a touch, move on to the next one. Now, it's like there's still a lot of signal, but you kind of have to focus on a different signal. And Brennan, you experienced this when you rolled out Homebot. There's a lot of notifications that come in that aren't necessarily about get me a rate, right? Or pre-qualify me or something like that come out of Homebot. So, understanding all that signal, like you're omnipresent. We're going to assume that you use leadPops, you use Verse, you're omnipresent, you're first to be there. But really taking time to connect and be super strategic with these people, understand how you can help them discreetly, understand what the message is. And that's going to help you win right now, because these people aren't all looking for the same thing anymore with refi volume. They have different needs, and the solutions are very specific to them, very specific to their property, very specific to their market. So the more you can kind of touch that specificity, the closer you can get to that with each consumer and lead, in as fast a time period as you can, the more you're going to win over the next year or 2 years.
Awesome. And yeah, you just teed up the next question extremely well. So like, what is it? What are these our purchase clients looking for that's different than the clients we've been used to for the last year or two? And how should we like define these different audiences and convey appropriate language and winning them over? Like what do they want? What do they want to hear from us? What do they want to hear us say? And like this question definitely teed up for Christian pretty well. So tell us what leadPops is thinking on that.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's on our side. We talk about funnels quite a bit, right? We look at defining audiences in terms of their readiness and level of intent. So you'll come across those that are ready to buy in the next 30 days, the middle of their search and a couple of months out, some 6 months out, right? So some that need credit assistance, talked about Sam Parker earlier, right? Some with, let's say, aspirational wants, and unfortunately a budget that may not quite align. Properly addressing just where that consumer is in the journey and being a reliable resource, we feel it's key, right? It's critical to have the best presence online, having a niche down that can attract, for example, a millennial first-time home buyer, right? Or if the prospect needs their handheld and even more of a personal touch. I mean, for example, for some of our first-time home buyer campaigns, we'll use emojis, right? It tends to grab their attention a bit more. The messaging and experience just has to reflect the targeted persona, as well as that, hey, you're the best option, you have the most experience and best expertise across the board to successfully assist the consumer. So that's our view on it.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. And Jay, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I would echo that definitely. And just making sure that you're adding value all the time. I think Homebot's a great way to do that, but you can do it with email, you can do it with video, you can do it with phone calls and text messages. I would also really encourage brokers to start exploring video. And I know this is an uncomfortable thing. I am uncomfortable with it. And I'm on the road right now meeting customers in person, and that's so refreshing. It's so awesome to get in front of people. But the market has changed. People's psychology has changed over the last year. We're used to engaging with video now. We trust video, right? This isn't going away. We're never going fully back to coffee and lunch all the time, right? And we really can't afford to do that at scale. So I would say invest in video, whether it's a paid service like BombBomb or a free service. And Homebot has a lot of great ways to sort of leverage video in the platform, and even leverage your videos with your agent partners and their customers. I know leadPops has that as well. I'm sure Daniel and Verse have that as well. So that's a great way to just scale your expertise and again, talk about solutions and do your best to understand where that person is, what they need, and get them a message that feels very specific to that need and very specific to you and the value you can add. And video is a great way to do that.
Yeah, I can't agree with that more. We transitioned when I first, 2 years ago, I was meeting every single client in person. I was showing application work, going over all the figures. And then, in 2019, we got too busy for that. And then last year, for obvious reasons, we simply couldn't. That being said, we were beyond that point anyways. And I started integrating Zoom meetings as part of, every single client we work with, I review the figures with them over Zoom. And I spent a little time like making sure the lighting wasn't terrible and it's a plain background. I'm clearly in my basement, but I originated 100 million in mortgages last year out of my basement. It's totally fine. So a lot of people always think everything has to be perfect with video or this or that. And Ryan Eller will tell you all the time, just do it. Just do the video. You'll get more comfortable with it. And I know everyone on here has already heard it before, but I'm hoping the more that you hear it, the more true it is. While meeting a client over Zoom or doing the Loom video is not the same as meeting them in person, it's far closer to that than a phone call is. It's not even close. So yeah, for sure, man. And yeah, Daniel, tell us what you think about it.
Well, I think that point's pretty good on a separate point. Like now that you're in Zooms, if there's like 4 people in the Zoom and one of them has their camera off, doesn't that person seem like shadier?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You go, what are you doing?
They're naked. Yeah.
Yeah. Which really like points to the importance of video, right? That's our now that we can see 3 people, then we see then one person doesn't have it on. It feels off. Yeah, my tip here is also built off of some things you can do within leadPops and your CRM, which is play with the language. So this is a time where, okay, like So for example, if a lead comes to Verse and we know that it's coming from a specific campaign, and we can have it go into a separate bucket and track response rates, engagement rates, qualification rates, and you can change those scripts up. So even if you're using your own scripts or using your scripts through your CRM, change them up, A/B test them, see what's doing better. Like use the same campaign through leadPops, but use 2 different scripts and see what's happening. It's what we do all the time, right? We're always looking for ways to increase conversion. Famously, Verse, our concierges all go by the name of Alex Parker, but it has because it's a gender neutral name, and concierges are, you don't know where you're going to get. And we used to go by Casey, and we A/B tested all these different gender neutral names like Pat and Sam, and so Alex came out as the highest converting or highest engaging name for whatever reason. So congratulations, Alex is out there. But it does go to the point of like, you guys should just be A/B testing stuff. Like, does this language work? If you tweak this part, does that get a higher level of engagement on that first text? There's a lot of variables. So it's, start out small and only change one thing each time as the scientific method, requires. But you have tools that will let you do that. And it's really about geeking out and spending an extra 15 minutes at the end of the day kind of playing with stuff.
That's cool. So we should all change our name to Alex is what I'm hearing.
That is what I'm telling you.
Okay.
Yeah. You got that.
Well, cool. Thank you, all 3 of you guys, Christian, Jay, and Daniel. It was really awesome having you on and sharing your knowledge. And to all the brokers out there, we have a lot of awesome partners with AIME, and these 3 companies are 3 of the best. If you're not leveraging them, you should be. You should be scheduling, tutorial or phone calls or Zoom meetings with them to find out what's going on here. And it's easy stuff to implement. It's going to make your life easier, and it's going to bring you more business. So yeah, cheers guys. Thanks for having us on.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks guys.
Thank you, Brandon.
Everybody.